This weekend, we saw rioting in Los Angeles against ICE for its efforts to apprehend illegal aliens and employers who were hiring illegal aliens. And the riots started out initially without very many numbers, but then they turned violent. And by violence, I would define that as throwing rocks at cars, torching cars, defacing government buildings, and attacking law enforcement. And Gavin Newsom then gave a series of editorializations that I think have ruined his chances ever to be a serious national candidate. He said this was chaotic, this was reckless, and he said that they were just trying to have an arbitrary deportation quota. 54% of the American people are for continued deportations. So you know what is really reckless, Gavin? You know what is chaotic? Is you.
Welcome to Expert Playback. What happened in Los Angeles this weekend wasn't just another protest, it was the end result of years of lax liberal policies. Victor Davis Hanson exposes how Gavin Newsom calls ICE deportations reckless while excusing actual violence in the streets. Here's what should alarm every American: Mexican flags flying over riots against U.S. immigration enforcement. This isn't about policy anymore, it's about whose authority we recognize in America.
Gavin, 12 million people came into the country illegally. That was 3 million a year. That was 250,000 per month. That was over 8,000 a day. They have not been able to deport more than 1,000 on most days, sometimes 500. You're going to lose the optics, Democrats, left, and immigration protesters if you have a lot of people here illegally and they're waving the not the American flag, but the Mexican flag as they're committing acts of violence. Donald Trump does not want to see a May, June, July, August, September 2020. $2 billion in property damage, 35 people killed, 1,500 officers assaulted, $14,000 arrest, precinct burned, courthouse burned, historic church burned. He doesn't want to see that.
12 million entered illegally under Biden, the largest demographic shift in U.S. history, without consent. Those Mexican flags and riots aren't just symbols, they're statements of allegiance against American law. Remember 2020? 2 billion in damage, 35 deaths, 1,500 officers assaulted over abstract claims. Now concrete resistance to immigration law, backed by foreign flags and enabled by state officials.
Mayor Karen Bass came down in her public comments on the side of the protesters. The chief of police of Los Angeles, I felt like it was some Soviet apparatchik. He was saying, there is no violence, that we are very proud of First Amendment. And it's like, I was given a text that my job is in danger probably if I say the truth. If you take an oath to enforce the laws of your state or the country, and you see people swarming detention centers, swarming the streets, obstructing traffic, burning cars, trying to injure people with rocks, and you do nothing, then you are forsaking your oath of office. So we're up to 53 million people. Nobody can figure out the surge. Trump, everybody is bewildered why Joe Biden or whoever was controlling him did this. It's catastrophic. Where I live in the Central Valley is kind of ground zero, where people come up for agriculture or hospitality industry, and it's changed my life.
Hanson exposes the complete abandonment of sworn duty by elected officials. When Mayor Bass sides with protesters over law enforcement, she's breaking her oath to faithfully execute laws and protect residents. Hanson's Soviet comparison is perfect. When police chiefs call rock throwing and car burning First Amendment activity, they're destroying law enforcement credibility. How can street officers maintain order when leadership denies obvious violence?
And when I fly in late to the Fresno air terminal until the Trump came in, you would see these massive 737 flights from Mexico. And that's that immigration app, where you can kind of avoid passport, just 200 at a time. So the busiest time during the Biden administration for that air terminal was between 1 and 5 in the morning. The first thing you do when you enter the United States is break the law. And the second thing you do is break the law when you reside here illegally. And the third thing you do is get some type of identification. Then you know that the host allowed you to do that. Then you develop a contempt for the host, and you feel that they must feel guilty, or they feel they're not able, or they're impotent, whatever, but you develop a contempt. In the last 40 years, there has been a radical upward mobility of illegal aliens to legal residents and green card holders, some citizens, but they're members of, especially in California, they are about 45% of the population, and they staff most of the government jobs in, say, the San Joaquin Valley.
Unchecked migration floods America, from midnight flights to Fresno to a contempt that weakens our authority. This isn't just LA, it's a national crisis, with illegal entry reshaping communities and even government jobs. When leaders like Newsom fail to enforce laws, they cede control to those who defy it. Will we let betrayal define us, or can we reclaim our laws?
The Hispanic population, who's a generation from that, gets very resentful that all these people came in illegally, and the welfare system is much more liberal than it was 20 years ago, and there's a sense of entitlement, and they now are paying California tax rates, and which hits, you can get 10% pretty quickly at $70,000, and so they get very angry about that, and then they feel that the crime rate coming from Mexico tars their community, or they'll say, some of the most law and order people I've ever met are Hispanics, and they are tough.
What do you think? Drop your thoughts below and make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate the support and comments.